Hey, we are getting into a story that is just legendary. The 2003 Antwerp diamond heist,
And it really is. It was immediately called the heist of the century.
which is a title that gets thrown around, but this one might actually deserve it.
I think it does. I mean, for a little context, you have to understand what Antwerp is. It's the diamond capital of the world. And this specific vault, the Antwerp Diamond Center, was, well, it was supposed to be a
A
fortress,
fortress with 10 layers of security.
state of the art security. So the idea of defeating it and walking away with what we think is the biggest haul in history, that's not just guts. That's almost impossible precision.
So let's paint the picture. It's the morning of February 17th, 2003. Detective Patrick Pays, he gets to the Diamond Center, goes 2 floors underground.
Right. And he's standing in front of this massive reinforced steel vault door, a door designed to stop, bombs, floods, basically anything you could throw at it.
He opens it,
Yeah.
and what does he see?
Ruin, just utter chaos. He said later it was calculated chaos. Over 100 of the 189 safe deposit boxes were just ripped open.
And the contents.
Gone. Raw diamonds, cut stones, gold, just bundles of cash. All of it vanished.
And I can only imagine the scene when the traders started arriving.
Oh, it was electric. Total panic. People screaming, that's my box. That's my. For many of them, that was their life's work just gone.
The initial estimate was, what, $100 million?
At least $100 million. And because so much of it was untraceable loose stones, we might never know the true value. So yeah, our mission today is to figure out how. How did a crew spend a whole weekend inside this vault, beat every single security system, and just disappear?
Without a single alarm going off.
Not one.
Okay, so let's get into the plan. This wasn't something they cooked up overnight. This had to be years in the making.
Absolutely. The investigation, it pretty quickly zeroed in on one man, Leonardo Notarbartolo.
An Italian guy, right?
And
Sweet
right-
talker.
Exactly. He'd been in the district for a while, posing as a gem dealer, but he wasn't just, casing the joint from the outside.
On the inside.
For 2 full years, he rented a small, totally nondescript office right there in the Diamond Center back in 2001.
Wow. And that was the masterstroke.
It was, because being a tenant gave him legitimate access. It gave him a key card. It gave him a reason to be down in the underground vault area he was hiding in plain sight.
So he's just there, becoming a familiar face to the guards, to the staff.
Yeah.
No one's suspicious.
Not at all. And while he's smiling and nodding, he's doing this incredibly bold surveillance.
Like the camera.
The camera, yeah. He installed this tiny, tiny camera right above the vault door. Probably disguised it as like a piece of an electrical fixture
And the whole point of that was to
to film the guards. Every single time they typed the combination into the keypad, he needed that code, but he also just needed to see their routines. When did they take breaks? When were they distracted?
it's terrifyingly patient. And he also did physical tests, right? I read about hairspray.
Yes. It sounds so weird, but he did a test run where he secretly sprayed a fine mist of hairspray on one of the heat motion sensors
Why hairspray?
because it creates this thin, sticky film. It can temporarily blind a sensor that's designed to pick up tiny changes in temperature. He wasn't trying to break it. He was just testing its sensitivity. He was measuring how long he could disable it for.
Incredible. But Notar Bartolo wasn't a one-man show.
No, he was the front man. The technical crew he brought in was known as La Scuola di Torino, the School of Turin,
A whole crew of
the
specialists.
super specialized unit. These were not your average thugs.
So who were they?
Well, we know some of them. There was a guy they called Speedy, probably a guy named Pietro Tavano, a Genoese friend of Notar Bartolo's who was the lookout.
Okay.
Then you have the monster, Ferdinando Finotto, a big guy, an expert with locks, drills, the physical stuff, the muscle, and the brains for leverage.
And the tech guy.
That was the genius, Elio D'Onorio. He was the one who knew everything about alarms, sensors, electronics.
And then there's the one they never found.
The ghost, the king of keys, an elderly master key forger who remains a complete mystery to this day.
And they never caught him.
Never even identified him. And without him and the key he made, this whole thing probably wouldn't have worked.
So this crew, the School of Turin, is about to go up against what was advertised as the world's most secure vault.
Exactly. And that brings us to the weekend of the heist, February 15th, 2003. They slip in after midnight.
So let's tick through these 10 layers of security. What's the first major problem they face?
The magnetic field alarm on the vault door itself. It's a circuit. If you open the door, you break the circuit and a siren goes off everywhere.
Right. So how do you open a door without opening it in the alarm side?
This is where the physics comes in and the prep work. They think that earlier in the week, someone on the crew had gone down there and slightly unscrewed the magnetic plates in the door frame.
Just loosen them a little.
Yeah, maybe put a bit of tape on them. It creates just enough of a gap to work with. Then, on the night of the heist, they used a custom tool. It was basically a U-shaped aluminum plate.
And what did that do?
They slid it over the magnetic contacts. Aluminum is conductive but not magnetic, so it essentially created a bridge. It tricked the sensor into thinking the circuit was still closed, even as the door was swinging open.
It's like they built a detour for the electricity.
Yeah,
That is brilliant.
pure genius. So the magnetic alarm is beaten. Now they have the combination from the hidden camera and the physical key from the king of keys.
They turn the key, punch in the code, and they're in. But not all the way in.
Right, now you're in the pre-vault area and you're facing all the active defenses, the heat detectors, the Doppler radar, the seismic sensors in the floor.
Designed to feel vibrations from drilling.
Exactly.
anything.
So the heat detectors, how do they handle those?
Low tech, but super effective. One of the crew members brought in a big shield made of polystyrene.
A cooler. Basically, yeah, polystyrene is a fantastic thermal insulator. They just put the shield up right in front of the sensor. The sensor just saw a static, cool object, not four human bodies moving around and giving off heat.
Unbelievable. Okay, what about the floor? The seismic sensors. You can't just start using a power drill.
They absolutely can't. That's why they use these specialized hand cranked drills. High torque, very slow, very methodical. It generates almost no vibration that would travel through the concrete floor
So they're just slowly, quietly drilling by hand.
for hours. And the Doppler radar, which detects movement, they likely just knew its patterns. After 2 years of watching, they knew the blind spots, they knew where to stand, how to move.
So they've beaten every electronic sensor. What's left?
Just an inner steel gate. They used a simple crowbar for that, popped it open. Then they covered one last thing, a light sensitive alarm, so they could turn the lights on and actually see what they were doing.
And at that point, they own the place.
They own the vault. They spent the entire weekend in there from Saturday night through Sunday just
Mm.
working
With that hand drill, opening 109 boxes.
methodically. They stuffed these huge duffel bags with so much stuff, they actually had to leave some of it behind.
And when they were done, they just closed the vault door and walk out.
Closed it right up behind them. A guard even checked the building exterior on Sunday night, saw nothing. The crime wasn't found until Monday morning.
It's the definition of a perfect crime.
Yeah.
In terms of execution, anyway.
Technically flawless, a masterpiece of criminal engineering.
Which makes what happens next almost, I mean, it's just comedy.
It is. The execution was surgical. The getaway, though, that was a total mess.
Yeah.
And it was all undone by one tiny, careless human mistake.
They took off, drove about 20 miles south of Antwerp, and decided to just dump their trash.
Yeah, all the refuse from the heist, the tools, the tapes, the food wrappers, they just chucked it in a quiet patch of woods off the E19 highway.
A patch of woods that happened to belong to a retired grocer named August Van Camp.
And Mr. Van Camp was not happy about people dumping trash on his property. He goes out there Monday morning before the news of the heist is even really broken.
He's about to call the authorities about illegal dumping, but then he sees something.
Something very weird mixed in with the garbage. He sees torn up envelopes with the Antwerp Diamond Center logo on them. He sees videotapes. He even sees a few loose emeralds glittering in the dirt.
And he knows this isn't just someone's household garbage.
Exactly. The police arrive, and that trash dump becomes the single most valuable crime scene they could have ever hoped for. It's a breadcrumb trail, straight to the thieves.
So what did they find?
Oh, everything. They found papers with the name of one of the crew on them, Elio Denorio, the genius. They found a receipt from a local supermarket.
And the receipt is a huge break.
Massive. They pull the security footage from the store for that exact time and date, and who do they see on camera?
Let me guess. The monster.
Ferdinando Finotto, the monster himself, buying sandwiches and supplies. They have him on tape.
But that's not even the clincher. That's not the legendary part of this story.
No. The fatal clue, the piece of evidence that made this heist famous for its failure, was a half-eaten salami sandwich.
Just tossed in the bag with everything else.
And that's all they needed. The forensic teams were able to pull a viable DNA sample right off that sandwich.
And whose DNA was it?
Leonardo Notarbartolo, the mastermind, the man who beat 10 layers of high-tech security, was caught because he didn't finish his lunch.
It's just unbelievable. So with that, the whole thing unravels.
And a fast. The other guys, Finotto, Dunorio, Tavano, they were all tracked down and arrested in Italy. But Notarbartolo, he does something truly baffling.
He goes back.
He goes back to Antwerp, less than a week after the heist.
Why? I mean, what was he thinking? Arrogance.
It had to be. Maybe he thought he could play it cool, maintain his cover as a legitimate gem dealer, show up at his office, act shocked like all the other victims.
A huge miscalculation.
A fatal one. Because by the time he walks back into the Diamond Center that Friday, the building manager had already pointed him out on security footage. The DNA from the sandwich was already a match.
So the police were just waiting for him.
They arrested him right there, inside the building he had so perfectly robbed just days earlier.
So the trial happens. Noto Bartolo gets 10 years as the mastermind. The others get 5. He was actually paroled in 2009.
He was, but the story doesn't really end there, because there are these huge, enduring mysteries.
First, the King of Keys.
The King of Keys. Never identified, never caught. He just vanished, presumably with his cut.
And the treasure itself. The $100 million.
Most of it gone. Tens of millions in diamonds and jewels never, ever recovered.
Now, Noto Bartolo has his own story about that, doesn't he?
He does. After he was convicted, he started giving interviews saying the heist was an insurance job, that the real haul was only maybe $20 million, and that a diamond dealer hired them to do it.
Is there any truth to that?
Very little evidence to back it up. I mean, it's a convenient story if you want to make your crime seem smaller and send the police on a wild goose chase for loot that you've already hidden.
So the prevailing theory is they just fenced the diamonds.
Almost certainly. They were loose, untraceable stones. They would have just disappeared into the global black market within days.
So we start with this story of technical brilliance. A perfect crime.
A crime that defeated seismic sensors and magnetic alarms and Doppler radar.
And it was all undone by the oldest, simplest mistake in the book.
Human error. They were careless with their trash. The difference between getting away with $100 million and going to prison was a supermarket receipt and a sandwich.
It really is the ultimate lesson. Mechanical perfection means nothing if you can't account for simple human sloppiness.
The irony is just staggering. They beat the world's most advanced security and then broke rule number one: cover your tracks. It's a reminder that the smallest detail is always the one that gets you.
So we know the crew was caught. But that money, most of it, is still out there somewhere, and the King of Keys just became a ghost. It leaves you with a final thought, really. Think about your own complex plans, the big projects in your life. What's your salami sandwich? What's that one tiny forgotten detail that could undo everything, even when you think you've got all the big stuff perfectly handled?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.